15, I believe. So, which was pretty nice.
So just explain how the scoring works in cross country. It's normally how many runners that score for you?
Top 5 score, and that's what makes your points. And low score wins. It's like golf. Your place is your points. If you get first, you get 1 point. If your next guy gets fourth, now you have 5 points, and you add up your top 5. Your 6 and 7 runner can also bump other people back, which helps you a lot. Normally, you only run 7 on varsity, but in the MAC, they made a special rule where we run 8 at that.
That's amazing depth. I mean,
it is
8 runners, all state or all league, which means that they're beating the number 1 runners of many other schools.
Yes, they are. Yeah, so that was really exciting. So the guys did really well there. We scored very well at that, and then we went to the regional. And we were ranked first going in, but we were maybe hoping to score in the 30s and win it. We ended up scoring 21 points, which is a school record for the regional meet. That is just a phenomenally low score at the regional finals, but we put 7 in the top 11.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
So I don't want to try to do the math off the top of my head, but if you added like 1 through 5 up, that's not much more than what you had there, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we went 1-2. That was big. Brendan Parr was first, and Jake Redlowski was second, and then we were 4th, 5th. I think. What place were you, Tags?
8th.
7th
or 8th.
Yeah, 4th, 5th, 8th. 10th and 11th or something like that. It was 21 points. That's a pretty.
Yeah, it's a great score. Yeah.
And then we went to state finals. We were hoping to finish a little better there, but we ended up 8th. But it was a rough day, but it was a rough day for everybody. Mm-hmm. So no excuses. We ended up 8th, which we're top 10 finish in the state. Very happy about that.
And how many years in a row now have you been to states, let's say?
We've been to the states every year since the year 2000, so that's 17 years in a row. That is the current longest streak in Division II going right now, and that is also an unofficial Blue Water area record because there's a guy named Wayne Roberts who coached at Sandusky for years. Yep. Then he had he stopped coaching for a little bit, and then he came back, and he's coaching again. But I remember it was probably my 9th year in a row qualifying for states. And Wayne's like, oh, so it's your 9th year? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, come talk to me when you hit 16 because that's my record. And so last year I said, Wayne, I'm hitting 16. And then so this year I was like, now I'm by myself, Wayne. So it was pretty fun. Yeah.
So what was the strength of this team? What did they do really well?
Well, one thing they do really well is train hard. And they come to work every day, and they want to work hard. We got some great leadership out of our captains, and even Brendan Parr, who's not a captain, but we get some great leadership out of those guys because they come to run hard, and so the other guys have to run hard. Right. Sets a good example. So that's the biggest thing. That we had a really tight pack. We were very, very deep, and that's what everybody notices.
And I know we talked about the pack before, but maybe just once again explain that for everybody so they understand what that means.
Well, you try to, between your 1 guy and your 5 guy, you try to make that time gap as small as possible. And our guys finish a lot of times within 15 seconds of each other. So, it's just a really tight group, and that helps you. That helps your score get low if you can keep your guys together.
Yes.
There's some coaches who literally tie their runners together with rope. I would never do that because you don't want anyone to have to slow down to wait for anyone. You want the back guys to speed up to be with the fast guys, right?
Yeah.
And so we just make the guys run hard every day at practice, and we try to pack it up. And I ride my bike along with them because I'm old and slow now. I used to run with them, but I can't do that. And so I'm riding around the pack, like trying to push guys to get back in it. Right. And I don't let them fall off, and it really helps, and it shows up in the race.
So you've been, obviously, 17 straight years. You've been doing this for a while. How do you do things differently each year? What do you try to change from year to year to keep yourself and the team fresh?
Sure. You have to look at the group that you have. Every group of kids is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Some are more. I don't want to say mature, but they're more mature group as a whole. Right. And so sometimes, like when these guys were freshmen, some of these guys were still on varsity as, Josh and Brendan were both on varsity as freshmen. And so, that group of kids was a lot less mature than say they are now. And so, you have to look at that, and you have to adjust your training to that. so that you're making sure that your seniors are getting enough work and you're not overworking them. We always joke, there was a run we were on one time, and Brendan we ended up going, we made not a wrong turn, but we went a different way, and we were supposed to go 9 miles, and we ended up going 11. And so the last two, like Brendan I let him jump on the bike, and I'd run for a little bit, and then he would ride. This is when he was a freshman. He would never have to do that now. So,
it's like carrying a 3-year-old at the mall. Or
yeah, right, exactly. So we had to, you just have to adjust it to the
Right.
personalities of your team. And, if you got a solid group of kids, and, so far, I just kind of, I guess that's one of my strengths is I can really, I can read people really well. And so, and I read my team,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the other things is, cross country is a hard sport. It takes lots and lots of training. The race is probably, in many ways, kind of the fun part.
Sure.
As opposed to everything you have to do to prepare for it. How do you keep the boys motivated? This is not an easy sport to get into or to be good at.
That's definitely true. You definitely have to want to work hard, and you have to want to do things that other people won't do. Mm-hmm. And you have to want to do things that your own mind is telling you really shouldn't be doing this, so you got to force yourself to do that. And the thing is, it's not like a ball sport where, it's a lot of fun and you got a huge crowd and, all that kind of stuff. But with running, it's basically what I do is I convince these guys that winning is fun and losing is not.
Yep.
And if you want to win, you have to work hard. And so we do. And in the end, we end up having a lot of fun with all that hard work. Obviously every single day, if it's 90 degrees out, they're not like, boy, this is a great time, But after we're done, you feel great. And only a runner can understand that. When you're done with that, when you finish that run, and then you're jumping in the river at the end, there's a great sense of accomplishment,
Yeah,
So
I think, and that's, what is it you think that's made St. Clair so good? Again, you definitely reached the program level. This is a program every year. There's a certain expectation. What do you think has helped make that happen for St. Clair?
Well, I think the key to coaching, any sport for that matter, is inspiring young men and young women to work hard. And, so then I've really worked on that a lot, read a lot of things, and I think I've fine-tuned it pretty well over the last 25 years or 26 years that I've been coaching. It's really, a lot of people think there's something in our water. The people say this to me all the time. What's in the water in St. Clair? You know what's in the water? Us. After a 10-mile run. That's what's in the water.
In July, right?
In July, that's right. And so all summer long. And, we show up every day. They come every day and they run. The running over the summer is voluntary. They don't have to show up, but they do because they want to win, and so they show up every day, and we make it, we have a lot of fun, and like I said, we're lucky. We're very fortunate to live in St. Clair,
right,
where we start at Palmer Park, and then when we're done, we got that beautiful river to jump in every day, and that's an incentive for them. And so really, there's nothing in our water. There's nothing. I don't feed them anything special. A lot of teams think that we're on some special diet or anything like that. Our diet is whatever food we can get. I buy them bagels from Neiman's. We stop at McDonald's. We stop at Tim Hortons on the way to every race. We just
calories isn't a problem for runners.
Calories is not a problem, exactly. So really, the only thing that we do that other people don't do is we train hard, we run long. A lot of people think that 30 miles a week is enough for a high school runner. Well, we run 70.
Yeah.
And so there's no secret to being good at cross country. It's just the willingness to put the hard work in, where a lot of people aren't, and you can't be afraid of that hard work. And the funny thing is that people say you're going to get hurt. My guys get hurt far less than most other teams, and it's because we're in shape.
Yep.
And we don't just start running 70 miles a week. We start at 30, and you work your way up. And so I've kind of perfected the program, and these guys they don't just do it for me. They do it for themselves, and they do it for each other.
Yeah.
We're like a family. We're like a team. And as a coach, these guys have input into our workouts, and I'll ask them like, hey guys, what do you think about this? And sometimes I'll say, I'll think they're getting really tired during a speed workout on the track, and I'll be like, all right guys, we're going to cut out the last mile, and they're like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell you.
That's wonderful when that happens, though, isn't it?
So I get a lot of leadership from them, and we all work together. It's like it's a unit. I am the coach, but I don't feel like I'm the boss.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to feel that way.
So, have you seen any other coaches locally starting to kind of try to copy or adapt to? You're standard, basically? You mentioned Cross Lex was pretty good this year, right?
They generally get a lot of talent, up at their school. So, and they, the Shaw, the Shaws, they're married. They do a nice job with those kids, and they turn out some really good runners. And Croslex is kind of always nipping at our heels, and they beat us a couple times, So, but I don't know that they're doing what I'm doing. Maybe they're doing their own thing. Like I said, a lot of other coaches are afraid of the mileage that I do. There's a certain coach in the area that said to a friend of mine one time, well, man, St. Clair's really good, but Jon Davidson runs them too much. And I think to myself, well, keep thinking that, because then I can keep winning, So, so that's, it's just, I don't know if they're copying what I'm doing. I hope not, because, then it makes it easier for us,
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
So guys, let's turn to you here for a second and kind of start out slow, but tell us, how'd you start? Josh, you're the senior here in the group, the captain. How'd you start running cross country?
When I first started, I was wanting to play basketball, and some of the guys, like some of my friends, wanted me to do track, and I said, oh, well, I guess so. I guess I'll do it. And I started running the distance program, and halfway through the distance program, coach realized I was pretty good, like at mid distance, and he asked me if I wanted to work out with some of the other seniors at mid distance, and I told him no, I would rather run long distance. And
so you chose to run long distance.
Yeah, because I felt like I could be more successful in distance. And so the other guys, like I wasn't very good freshman year at track, but over the summertime, the guys told me I should run cross country, and we trained really hard during our first season in the summer. And I think I went from like 21 minutes all the way down to like 17:32, wow, which is a big drop for like varsity. It was a big difference, and I'm really glad I did it.
Excellent. So Brendan, what about you?
I started running in middle school, 7th grade. and 8th grade, I decided to do track, and coach had a son who used to run in track. So he did the mile, and I also did the mile, and I used to like chase him around the track. I wasn't as fast as he was, but I was still decent. He told me to come out for cross country, so I pondered it. I knew my friends were doing it, so I just ended up joining, and I liked it.
Tyke, you told a really interesting story before we started about how much you've improved and moving from, say, the middle of the pack up to the top level. Tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Well, I didn't start in the middle of the pack. I moved here from Port Huron my freshman year, and I was not good. I was about 28 minutes, which I think I was the last guy on the team.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was bad. But my freshman year, over doing the winter training and then the beginning of my sophomore year and stuff, I realized that I could actually be pretty good at this. So I put in the work that these guys were putting in, and I got pretty good at it.
Excellent. So I asked Coach, but what about you? What motivates you to come out and keep on running? Josh, what about you?
It's all about the winning.
Okay.
That's basically what drives us. Like after you finish a workout, you're like, think about how much this can improve me and how much this can get me up in that top pack.
Do you guys keep track of your miles? How many miles you run, Brendan? Or
we have a list. Like coach gives us a workout sheet, and it roughly averages out to like 60 to 70 miles a week. So we know roughly.
Yeah. And Tyke, what about you? What's the hardest thing to do when you're doing the training?
Any long run. I'm more of a mid mileage to speed work kind of guy, but I mean the longer runs definitely make you better.
Okay. And Coach was saying the weather this fall was pretty warm. Maybe, Brendan, tell him, why is warm weather not so good for cross country?
Well, it's not necessarily just the warm weather itself. It's also the humidity that adds the effect to it, So it's harder to breathe in, and it's like having a blanket over your face almost. So it's just harder to get the oxygen in, and you just feel tired.
For you, Josh, what temperature would you like to run at normally?
It may sound irrational, but like 40 degrees.
Really?
Yeah, like 40 degrees on like a nice, like really dry course that doesn't have a lot of mud or like dampness to it, solid grass. So you can like, it just helps you more with, because there's no, what do you call it, humidity in the air.
Mm-hmm. And Tyke, maybe explain for everybody, you're not running on a track in cross country. You're out in fields and woods.
Yeah, anything that's not level is usually what we run on. But the fast courses are the ones with short grass, flat ground. Anytime it's not wet, again, the cooler days really help.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you like, Brendan? What kind of course do you like?
I pretty much just what Tig said. I love those flat courses. I love it when maybe not necessarily the course, but the competition. When the competition is there, along with the course, I mean that's the best.
Okay. Is there a course around here that you guys really like?
Algonac.
Algonac.
Why? Where is it?
It's at Algonac High School,
Okay.
and it's pretty much just right behind it. It's in the woods, and it goes out, and it's very flat, and
it's usually
short
dry.
grass.
Yeah.
They put some nice invitational on, and it's a real fast course. They had regional there a couple of years. And that was great because it was at the end of the season.
Right.
So and we like Harbor Beach too.
Yeah, we
Harbor
like
Beach is awesome.
Yeah.
So
what happens when there's hills, Josh?
Oh, it's a lot of pain. You pretty much have to surge up it. That's what Coach always tells us to do. Because the sooner you get up it, faster you can go down it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's your least favorite course, Tig?
We don't really have a least favorite course. It's just the courses that you have to grind through.
Right.
For some reason, I don't like Marysville sometimes, but I mean, I like them all really. Anything you get to run on.
Yeah, I get it.
That's a little brainwashing there because every course we step on is our favorite course.
And
Every
that's what you
box
gotta
we
think,
draw
right?
is our favorite. Yeah,
Yeah.
and every weather we run in is our favorite weather. So
Torrential down.
I wanted to ask, because I was mentioning, Coach, I had the girls cross country team, another very successful year themselves, here a couple weeks ago, and a couple of them said that when they're running, that they might actually have a song in their heads to help them keep going and so on. What do you think about when you're running, Brendan?
What I think about the competition. I'm thinking about the next guy ahead of me. I'm like just repeating myself. Okay, get to him, get to him, get to him. I'm not gonna fail, And when I start falling, I'm like, it would really stink if I just fell back and took second. That would be bad.
Okay. What about you, Josh?
Oh, I just think things to motivate me. What am I gonna do when I catch this guy? I gotta stick with him and not fall off, and just the competition. Because you want to be at those big meets, and you want to be successful on your own as well as a team, and how much you can do for this team. You're suffering now for the team,
Right. So, Tig, what's it like when you're in running close to people like that? Does it get physical? Do you get elbows out any once in a while?
Yeah, sometimes I've only gotten pushed into the brush into the woods a couple times. So I mean that's better than these guys, but it can be for the most part. Though the guys are pretty respectful. You're tight together, so you have to kind of work with each other.
Now, do you feel like you peak for a certain race? I mean, Coach mentioned what happened at the MAC and at regionals. How did you feel going up to that week, Brendan?
Going into MAC and regionals? Well, this year we did something a little bit different than in past years. We trained a little bit more through the MAC. So we were ready for the MAC, but we didn't necessarily rest for it. And even regionals, we trained a little bit through that week, and then we rested towards the end. So we felt good going into regionals, but everything really mounted up to states.
Okay.
That's what was our focus. So that we didn't rest till then.
Josh, as Coach mentioned, very, very good scores. What does it feel like to be kind of the favorite, where you basically have the target on your back at the MAC tournament or at the MAC meet or at regionals?
It's pretty cool actually, because teams will come up to us and talk to us about occasionally guys would be come up and talk to us about how much they respect us and all they admire our success and everything, but we're a little bit cocky almost sometimes, occasionally, and we have kind of a reason to, because but it doesn't come without any hard work. We've earned the name.
Yeah.
We've earned the success.
So I'd be interested, Tig, essentially you're competing to a large extent against other teammates, right? I mean,
oh yeah. So
how does that work? It must be a little bit interesting when you're trying to pass your own teammate to get a better place.
Yeah, I think it's mostly that we respect each other, and it's you're trying to beat them, but at the same time you're respecting their abilities. So your goal is to beat them, but if they beat you, then you're not going to be too mad because they are on your team, but you're still going to try and beat them.
Sure.
Tell them about the bags.
Oh yeah. On our team, we have our varsity bags, and on the top of each one is labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. until 7. And so after every race, whatever place you come in, that's what bag you get. So I
change at the
right after the race. So
sometimes they're a little salty about it.
yeah, I was.
Is there a lot of movement?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, sometimes. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
I was 4th going into Marysville, and then I had a pretty bad race that day, and then I had to take the 7 bag. I was not happy about that, and I got my bag back the next race.
Oh, that's great. Josh, you're the captain this year. You're the senior.
Yeah.
How do you work with some of the younger runners as a captain?
Well, it's mostly just like showing up every day, working hard with that attitude, and kind of like mentoring them a little bit, like guiding them along the way, and like telling them not to fall off, and what hard work is.
Okay. I always like to ask this question because there's usually one upperclassman, let's say, on the team who kind of does the tough love. Basically gives people maybe more than just a kick in the butt. Is there someone? Are you the tough love guy, or?
Not
That'd be
really.
Jake.
Yeah,
That'd be Jake.
it's probably Jake.
Okay.
Yeah. Jake is the other senior captain.
Right.
And he gives a little bit of tough love occasionally.
And it's good to have captains who handle both sides of that, right,
Sure.
Coach?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, all the guys are pretty encouraging. I think Josh, more than anyone on the team, is during the runs, he's always telling them, get back up here, and he'll drop back even sometimes and get someone to get back in the pack. And, Jake's more of a silent, stoic kid.
Yeah.
But when he says something, you better listen, kind of thing, yeah. So.
Brendan, you've done very well. By the way, congratulations on All-State.
Thank you.
That's a tremendous accomplishment. What happens as you build up to these big races? Do you get nervous, and how do you handle those nerves?
As a freshman, I used to get extremely nervous, and I'd have Jake and Coach just tell me, you've trained for this. You should not be nervous. And, after going through it, this is my 3rd year running, so now I kind of have the confidence and faith in my abilities that I'm like, I'm ready to go do this. I get hyped.
No, that's good. So talk about states here. Huge race, obviously. A lot of very fast runners. How is it different? Josh, what's different with the states?
It's just like the amount of competition there. Like these are the best teams in the state, and you're getting to compete against everyone, and you get to truly find out where you stack up.
Okay. Did you find out when you mentioned you were a freshman? What did you do when you were a freshman at states that you wouldn't do or didn't do this year, 3 years later?
Probably freshman and sophomore year in general, I was less competitive. I had less faith in my abilities, so I would go where I was comfortable. This year, I just listened to what Coach said, get up in the pack, go compete. You're better than you think you are, so that's pretty much what I did. I got up in the front pack, and I just kept moving up.
Okay.
That's really how you do it if you want to get All-State.
Yeah.
He was ranked 33rd going in. He took 18th.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you moved up 15 spots.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, as a team, you guys going into states like that, I mean, how do you think about when everybody's at the starting line? There's 100. I don't know how many runners there are.
280 something.
Which is a
it's
huge number,
yeah,
right? I mean, how do you keep that pack going in a situation like that, Josh?
Well, it's just about finding your guys during the race and trying to stick with them as long as you can. Mm-hmm. And what else? They almost guide you along where you should be right now. Okay. And there's other runners around the area. We have Carlos Soto and Max Woodridge and Jared Jolly. We know where we are at the race during
they're kind of mileposts, so to speak.
Right.
You know where they are, then you figure this is where I ought to be in relation to them. How was it for you at States this year?
What?
How was it for you at States?
Pretty good. Going into it, we were confident, but we knew who we were up against. So that's one thing that you really have to know is what the other teams are.
Okay.
But I did pretty well, I think. I started off a little slower in my first mile, but then after that, it was just constantly moving up. And I think that a lot of people go really hard in the first mile, especially at States. And that ends up not being too good for their final time sometimes.
You reel them in as the race goes
on.
on.
Yeah, you can catch them in the next 2 miles.
So I was asking Coach how you continue the program year after year. Josh, you're the senior captain. This is your last year running cross country. You've already got your eye on a couple of the younger guys and trying to say, kind of grooming them to be the next leaders here in a couple of years after you?
Yeah, I've been getting on a couple of kids' butts lately. I've been telling them, you got to work hard next season. There's no more games. This is going to be your senior year and everything. And I really try to just bestow that mentorship to them.
Yep.
And if someone has a bad race, I'll go up and talk to them and encourage them. And I think I really help occasionally, and I'll talk to Par after race, and I go around and make my rounds to everyone.
Yeah. So you two guys are coming back next year. Do you do any recruiting? I mean, how do you get some of the younger kids into the program?
We do. Generally, we'll look and we'll see who's at the middle school. You know, I have a little brother right now who's in middle school, so that makes it easy. But we see who's running and who's interested, and eventually at the end of track, we'll go get their names on a list, and eventually they'll come out. We give them the information for when our summer training is, and eventually we just see who shows up.
Mm-hmm. So, Tig, what do you do for the younger runners? I mean, you have a really good story to tell about improvement. How do you communicate that to the younger runners?
Well, usually it's whenever, like, they usually have to show an interest, right?
Yeah.
So they don't just come out because they know, like, we get down to business, so it isn't just screwing around and stuff. So the kids definitely have to show an interest to be running before they start running with us, but yeah. So that makes it a little bit tougher just because of our reputation with how much we do sometimes with recruiting. But I think a lot of the kids that we get that are interested really do a really good job with the team.
Well, and again, I mean, I'll say it, when the program you have and the kind of the standard of excellence you've set, I'm sure there's a lot of young runners who want to be on this team, right?
Well, you would think so, but sometimes I think it scares kids away too.
Okay.
Yeah. So our team's pretty small. We only have 14 guys this year. You know, you go see other schools literally some of them have 100.
Right.
You know, Saline has like over 100 guys. I mean, they're a bigger school than us, but even some of the Division II schools have, you know, like Flint Powers, they're small Division II.
Right.
And they have, I think, 43 guys or something, you know. But so I think that, you know, because they know they're going to have to work hard if they come out for our team, which is okay with me because I'll take 7 or 12 quality guys over 40 that aren't, you know.
Aren't working.
Right, exactly. So, so I guess some kids it definitely attracts, and then other kids I think it scares away.
Yep.
You know, but I think they all think they're going to come out and I'm going to make them run 10 miles on the first day, which I would never do that. You know, you got to start them out slow. You know, generally more of my problem is getting the younger guys to only run. You know, all right, we're going 10, but I want you to go 6. But I can do it, coach. I know you can do it, but you're 14, you know, or 13. So I want you to ease into it. You know, so, but. Yeah, that's, you know, it's sometimes, like I said, it can be a detriment that we're, you know, how good we do. So.
Yeah. So do you guys have any, I mean, you mentioned the thing with the bags, which I think is really neat, the different numbers. Are there any other kind of rituals that you guys have as a team that you do getting prepared for a race? You know, a certain warm-up or anything of that nature?
Yeah, warm-ups and team huddle. You know, we huddle with each other. Coach gives us a talk in the beginning of the race, and we kind of just pump each other up, you know.
We always say that this is our favorite box because you're given boxes in regionals and like all these other races, and that's where you start. And we always talk about like, oh, this is gonna be our favorite box, you know.
Okay.
Like this one today.
Even if we don't know what the number is yet, it's
Even if it's in the mud pit.
It's this box.
And at States, even though we said it was our favorite, it was not our favorite because we started in a mud puddle, and other people were starting on a gravel road. So it was like. But hey, that, you know what, we're not going to complain about it because you know you're not going to get it changed. So, you know, and you got to do what you're given. You know, so.
So how does Coach help during the races? I mean, how often do you see him?
All the time. He's running around screaming. You'll hear him. You'll see him, and he's shouting out time so you know where you need to be. Or say, get this guy. It's extremely helpful.
Okay. But you, Ty, how often do you see him?
Well, he gets around the course as much as he can, so you see him quite a bit. You hear him more than you see him, though, because you can hear him from a half mile away.
Every coach has the coach voice.
Oh, yeah. Right. He yells a lot, but it really helps. He keeps you in line.
Other teams think I'm mean. And it's funny, they've talked to my guys in the past, and they've said, wow, your coach is so mean, you know. You guys must hate him. And they're like, no, we really like him, you know.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Because I sound mean during the race, but I'm just trying to, especially with boys, you know, you have to tell them things that they need to hear during the race.
Because you can't carry 2x4
don't
with you, right?
Stop quitting, you know. You know? And I mean, they always tell me that it helps, so I keep doing it, you know. So.
Well, and certainly there's a lot of people say that if you're not being coached, you're not getting helped. And
right. Yeah.
You've got to be coached.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Josh, you're the kind of the senior leader and so on. I mean, do you know something that your coach doesn't like you to do that's going to guaranteed going to be a word or two on you?
Probably the biggest thing is not working hard.
Okay.
If he knows like you're slacking off, like.
And he can tell, right?
Yeah, he can tell. can tell his kids' potentials, and he'll really chew you out. And it's not just him. Everyone on the team will chew you out.
That's
Oh
great.
yeah.
Because we motivate each other, and like when someone isn't performing like to what we know they can do, like they're just not working hard, we really get on them about it.
Yeah, it's the best. Peer pressure is the best
Yeah.
Motivator and things like that. Correct.
Because it affects us all as a team
Sure.
as well.
Yeah.
And we want them to be successful, not just us as a team.
Well, guys, again, tremendous year, and congratulations on finishing once again top 10 in the state. Amazing. Jon, I wanted to ask you, you've had a number of runners go on. Talk a little bit about some of the runners that have actually gone, work for you, then run on in college.
Well, my first runner that went on is Kurt Brinker, who's now my business partner, actually, which
really?
is kind of fun. Yeah, and he went on to Oakland University. And then when he was a senior at St. Clair High School, John Cook was a freshman. And they became good buds. And then John went to Oakland as well. And then when John was a freshman and Kurt was a senior at Oakland University, they won the conference championship, which in college, that's a huge deal to win the conference championship. And they were both on the team. And so that was kind of like the first time. But then we've had many runners go on and run in college. We've had, Lars McElroy ran at Northwood. We had Jeff Stanfest ran at Oakland. Tony Coopers ran at Oakland. We had Jason Neiman ran at Kings Point, which is the Coast Guard Academy. Merchant Marine Academy.
Okay, yep.
And we've had several. I've had 24 runners run in college altogether. After the 2013 championship, we sent 8 guys to college. So we had a guy who wasn't even on varsity who ran in college. So we had 3 go to Macomb, and 1 go to Aquinas, and 1 go to Ferris, and 1 go to University of Detroit. There's one more that I was missing there. There's one more in there somewhere. But anyway, we had several guys go on. And Trevor Holowati is tearing it up at Ferris right now, doing an outstanding job. Adam Jazowski is doing a great job at Aquinas right now still. Cody Smith is running. He's my only runner to ever get a full ride. He got a full ride to UAD.
Wow.
Yep. And he's running there right now. So I've had some kids do really well, after high school. And I don't push them to do it, but Josh is talking to several colleges right now. Walker Child went on to Lawrence Tech to run there last year. So we've had several guys. Oh, and Ryan Parslow. He ran at Macomb for 2 years and then got recruited by Iowa State.
Wow.
And so now he's running at a big D1 school. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Exactly. So he's doing a great job, but they picked him up. He was a late bloomer as far as physical maturity. And man, did he really come on strong. Like right at the end, he was on our championship team in 2013, really started to come around in track, but then when he went to Macomb, he just he became a man and got really fast. And so he ran with us this morning, actually. That's one of the cool things is a lot of the guys come back and run with us,
Well, it really is, and I'm sure that the runners on the team look up to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And any graduate from St. Clair has an open invitation because we do a cross country camp every year. Right now we're going to Muskegon over at PJ Hoffmaster State Park, and we camp for a whole week together. Great team building experience. But anyone who graduates from our program has an open invitation to come back without charge and hang out with us for as many days as they want.
That's terrific. That really is that. And that, again, it keeps that program going. So probably already thinking about 2017. What do you see around on the horizon for next year?
Well, 2017 is going to be a pretty special year because we got a group of 6 solid juniors. And then we had 1 freshman this year that really looked good for us. I think we're going to have another great year next year.
Okay.
So this group. It was Brendan and Tig, and then there's Derek Leduc, Matt Bishop, Donis Harris. Who am I missing? Daniel Lamontagne.
Yep.
And that group of guys they're going to be solid, and so we're really looking forward to another good year next year. So.
Excellent. Well, Coach, congratulations again. Great year. Like to have you every year. Yeah. Talk about the states and regions and MAC. And guys, congratulations, terrific year. Josh, good luck next year. You guys, I hope to see you back here again in 2017.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that's about it today for Press Box. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you next week. This is John Cairo saying goodbye.